Hi, it's Alicia with Peach and Lily. Welcome to our acne series. So in our acne series, we're going to have a series of videos where we talk about everything from a routine that's great for acne-prone skin, to how to fade acne scarring, to how to prevent or treat breakouts. In this video today, we're not going to talk about any products. We're actually going to talk about the root cause of acne. And I wanted to start with the root cause of acne because we all are familiar with that acne cycle. You break out, you have scarring, you break out again, you have more scarring, and sometimes you're left wondering, what can I do to just get rid of acne altogether? And I think getting to that root cause, understanding why you get acne in the first place can really help provide a framework to approach acne in a more holistic way and to try to get ahead of that acne cycle. So at the very top of your skin, you have your acid mantle that sits on top of your skin. And that's a chemical barrier made out of sebum and sweat. And it basically prevents toxins and harsh chemicals and pollutants, etc., from entering into the skin. So it's a chemical barrier, and it functions best when it is pH balanced. It's a little different for each person, but 5.5 is just basically where it's at. And then underneath that is your stratum corneum. That's basically all your dead skin cells that act as a physical barrier to your skin to keep the water in, to keep everything else out. Underneath that, then you have your spiny layer, and it's just called that because there's basically structures that kind of bridge these cells together and it kind of looks spiny. Even underneath that, you have your basal cells. Essentially, your basal cells are always growing and dividing and maturing and coming towards the top as the keratinization process is what brings all these live cells up to the surface where they die and they serve a purpose as protecting your skin, and then they are sloughed off. So we all have pores on our skin, whether they're tiny and invisible or very large and visible. We all have pores or follicles. And the pores basically are tubes that go from the surface of your skin all the way down to your dermis, the live layer of your skin. And at the bottom of the pores, there are these sebaceous glands that are attached to it. Some pores will have hair, some won't. In these pores as well, we have dead skin cells. The same keratin lines our pores as well. The pores basically need to exfoliate all of the dead skin cells. However, if you're lacking some enzymes, or I call them dysfunctional pores, that keratin is just not going to come out of the pores. And so what ends up happening is the sebum and the keratin mix, and sebum is just really great food for the bacteria, if you will. And so inside your pores, what ends up happening is your sebum breaks down into these fatty acids, and all of a sudden you have a bacterial infection. And the way that it happens is when your pores get clogged because the keratin and the oil just start mixing and it becomes a really sticky mass, the bacteria that just lives on our skin, the bacteria that causes acne, it's called P. acne, the bacteria really feeds on that sebum and it starts to just multiply, and that's the beginning of a blemish. Ultimately, it all starts with this dysfunctional pore where your dead skin cells are just not exiting naturally out. And so that breakdown is called retention hyperkeratosis. So when that happens, acne happens. And fundamentally, when you actually have backed up pores like this and an infection takes place, there's oxidative stress that happens on your skin cells, which is why once this inflammation process happens, it just kind of starts to spread a little quickly. I want to actually talk about one of my favorite dermatologists when it comes to acne, Dr. Perricone. And what's really interesting is Dr. Perricone, basically points to inflammation being the root cause of acne. And there are so many anecdotal studies that show that dealing with inflammation helps so much with acne. I'm a licensed esthetician, and I have been preaching this anti-inflammatory approach to acne for so long. It's really, I think, refreshing to think about inflammation being the root cause of acne, because there's a whole holistic way that we can deal with acne. So when it comes to inflammation, there's, I think, 5 things we should really think pretty hard about: what we eat, sleep, how we work out, Of course, when it comes to acne, your skincare routine counts as well. And then number 5 would be the levels of stress. So some other really great and well-known anti-inflammatory foods out there are salmon, sardines, almonds, walnuts, lots of green leafy vegetables, spinach, kale, broccoli, olive oil. So if you're a big olive oil fan, go ahead and dunk everything into olive oil. That's what I do. These can really help combat the inflammation in your body. So highly recommend, incorporating these foods into your diet, especially if you're struggling with acne. And then actually water. It's not just helping with your acne, but it's like great for your health in general because the hydration really helps to keep that inflammation away, which we, realize is such a core culprit of so many of our other ailments. So inflammation, bad, water helps with it. I really need to take my own advice on this, but sleep is really important because that is when your body is rejuvenating and repairing itself, and also lack of sleep is going to completely throw off your hormonal balance, which leads to more potential inflammation in the body. If you're just working out to stay healthy, something to consider is how your workout could be leading to acne breakouts. So we also have a link below on workouts that we really recommend that's going to keep you healthy but not lead to this hormonal kind of upset. And we talked to some, personal trainers and folks who are real experts in this area. And of course, your skincare routine. What you use on your face when you're dealing with acne is super important. I'm not going to go through that here. There is a link to a video below where I actually go through an entire routine for acne-prone skin. So if you're looking for products to put on your skin to deal with acne, definitely check that out. But just being mindful of what you're putting on your skin is super important for acne as well. And then of course, there's stress. So stress is really not great for us, but it happens. We all deal with stress, and one thing that stress does is it leads to all this cortisol developing in your body, and that really upsets your hormonal balance, and it's a pretty destructive thing to have in our body, excess cortisol. And so managing that stress is pretty important. Sometimes we're so used to it we don't even realize that we're stressed. That's how I always felt until one day I was talking to a nutritionist and just examining me, and she was like, you have so much stress in your system. And so I took that pretty seriously and tried to manage my stress by meditating. But I have noticed a huge result in how I'm able to manage my stress. And it's not just like an in your head thing, it's really physiological. And so a few apps that I really like that helps meditate is an app called 10% Happier. There's another great one called Headspace. There's one called Will, W-H-I-L, and then another one called Insight Timer. So check those out, and maybe that's something you can incorporate into your life as well. To sum it up, to deal with acne in a really effective way and to get to the root of the problem so that you can get ahead of that acne curve and just try to eradicate it altogether. Again, we discussed how important it is to think about inflammation in the body, because inflammation is going to worsen those clogged pores and lead to more oxidative stress and just more infection, and even trigger the actual clogging of the pores. And so the ways to deal with inflammation is, through what you eat, sleep, managing stress, the right kind of workouts, and a really great skincare routine that's great for dealing with and preventing acne. So definitely check out those links below, but this was just a video to provide that framework to start thinking about acne and how we can deal with it in a more holistic way. So I hope this was helpful. Definitely sign up for our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, you can always ask one of our licensed estheticians by emailing lily@peachandlily.com. Thanks for watching, guys, and cheers to radiance.